Hello and welcome to the channel. This morning I'm in the Vale of York at an English national nature reserve called Skipwith Common. It's similar to Askham Bog Nature Reserve that I visited a few weeks ago, but much larger. I think my understanding is that the area represents what the Vale of York would have been like thousands of years ago, before modern farming practices were brought in, and is a low-lying heathland and wetland area. There was an airfield covering part of it in World War II. I think it was RAF Riccall, and we'll visit what's left of that later in the walk. But this is actually what a lot of the reserve is like. Low-lying heather, fern, scrub. Areas of wetland and large areas of quite mature woodland. A nice view here from up in the canopy. This first section is by the small country road that goes up to Skipwith village. But a little further on we leave that behind, and it's very peaceful, very quiet walk. My walk today is basically going anti-clockwise around the perimeter of the reserve. It'll take me a couple of hours, and I've turned away from the road now after about half a mile. There are several places to park. There's a reasonably sized car park, probably holds about 20 cars, on the eastern side of the reserve. I always park there and always go anti-clockwise. It's a pleasant day. It's mid-September, about 18 degrees. Rained quite heavily, I think, overnight, although it's fine now with blue skies. But I keep getting a proper shower as I pass under certain trees that get caught in the wind just as I'm underneath them. There's an actual road that runs from east to west, from one side of the reserve to the other. I don't think it's used as such. It's mainly used by cyclists and horses and pedestrians, but I've just come out of the woods, crossed that and headed back into the woods. I'm quite away now from any traffic. And that's the village of Skipwith there, like all villages on the Vale of York, encroaching into the green belt. Getting closer and closer to places like this. The new house is king in this country at the moment. I think online there might be some downloadable maps, and there are a series of trails corresponding to different colours on these posts, but from the car park I've described, or the little car park on the western edge, if you just head out in a big circle, you should, if you stay within the perimeter of the reserve, end up back where you started. But don't hold me to that, because my map reading and wayfinding abilities are notoriously bad. Oh, that's lovely. Big old oak tree. I'm back at the road now. If I went left here, it takes me back to the car park, but we're heading on a little further before we turn back. Not on the road though, just for about 50 yards, and then the track heads off to the right once more into the woodland. And if I remember correctly, a particularly pretty section of woodland. Just stopped for a quick coffee. It's a lovely spot, is this. Quite a lot of new growth with silver birch, but a handful of really old mature oak trees. I've reached part of the reserve now where the old airfield is still in place. There are parts of the runway from World War II. On this area here. There seems to be two runways here, running side by side, possibly the remains of some buildings. But there's one last little loop that goes around the very western edge of the reserve before I start heading back. Sometimes a little overgrown, so we'll see how it is. I think I can hear a buzzard. I once got a fabulous view of some hares in this field to my right. There's about 6 of them. One of those many sightings of nature you have in your life when you've got neither camera nor binoculars. They do stay ingrained in your mind though, forever. Seem to be getting into fungus time. It's a very good woodland to come spotting, is this. I've seen half a dozen or so on previous visits. The trees though, I delight in them at this time of the year. I've always enjoyed the outdoors, but it's only in recent years I've took real joy, especially in being among the trees. They are just quite incredible plants. And now that summer's over, it is quite a time limited. A time limited thing. 3 months from now we'll be into those bare skeletal shapes that I talk so much about in winter, which in themselves have a beauty, but nothing for me can compare with the summer canopy and the late summer canopy. The dappled shade you get and the drips of water you get on the morning or after it's rained. It's wonderful. I don't know if it looks as if there's even a footpath where I am, but when you're on the ground it's actually quite clear. And it's just a nice little loop if you like to say you've done the lot and you need to do this little bit as well. For a change, I'm not in a particular rush today, so I'll try and squeeze in as much of this reserve today as I possibly can. Give you an idea what it's like. Where I am, as I've already said, is what the Vale of York was like, and that is what the Vale of York is like for 95 or more % of it. So places like this are so precious, and in this case it is protected, but any places like this that are out there, they should be protected at all costs. They really should. If you are a regular subscriber to the channel and have any observations about the videos or ideas where I should go or you'd like to see me go, then please feel free to leave a comment. I am a creature of habit and do tend to go to the same places, so I'm always looking out for new ideas and new adventures. I was wondering why the wind had got up suddenly, but I don't think it has. I think the wind's blowing from the southwest, which is that way, and as we've now come out completely from the cover of the woodland, we're feeling it. Just gives you an idea how much of a microclimate there is in the heart of a woodland. So I've finished the loop now and I'm actually back at the other end of that short stretch of runway that I was on. This brings you out at the Little Eastern car park that I was talking about. I'm sure there are other places to park, but they're the only two that I know. What seems to be the main car park on the west and this little car park on the east. I know this one. This is a bracket fungus. It's a little bit like a tree. Every ring denotes a year of growth, and I think the biggest one I ever saw had about 14 rings, which is quite remarkable really, that it's lain undisturbed on a rotting tree trunk for 14 years. As it is, that one's got about 4 or 5. I think they might start while the tree's still up. I'm not sure though. If you know, tell me in the comments below, as all these YouTubers seem to say. Skipwith Common is one of the last remaining areas of lowland heath in northern England, and one of the last patches of heathland which once covered large parts of the southern Vale of York. Now there are 3 marked trails: the blue one, the hidden archaeology walk; the red one, the bombs and lizards walk; and the Skipwith Explorer, around 6 miles, which I think is pretty much what we're doing today. We started here, not up here, we did the loop, I've come back here, and then we're going to do this loop and then back to the car. An incredible variety of plants and animals depend for their survival on the 270 hectares of open, wet and dry heath, ponds, mires and woodland found across the common. In late summer and early autumn the reserve is covered with purple carpet of heather, while you can still find scarce heathland plants such as marsh and gentians around the Bombay's Trail. The common has its roots in prehistory. The lowland heath is a man-made landscape originally carved from England's ancient wildwood by our ancestors' axes and spades. If left unmanaged, the open heath would once again become choked by rank grasses and covered in birch scrub. Today, longhorn cattle, Hebridean sheep and Exmoor ponies wander across the site, helping to keep the common open with a range of habitats which provide suitable places for woodcock, chickadee, woodlark and occasional nightjars. During the Second World War, the common was an airfield used to train pilots to fly bombing missions over Europe. Today the old runways and bomb storage areas are still visible, although now they provide a home only to the common's wildlife such as common lizards and grass snakes. Headed off the main track that runs through the reserve and doing a little loop around the southern section of the reserve. There's a little bit of World War II archaeology down here that's worth a look at. And then I'll have a wander along the Bombay's Trail, which is what it says. I think it's where they used to store the bombs. And then we'll be heading back. Longhorn cattle. What do these like to walk past? Guess we'll soon find out. Of course they do decide, like all cattle, to lay right across the footpath. They seem pretty docile. Never seen them before, to be honest. It's a first. I'd forgotten how overgrown this little section is. I think last time I came here I ended up on my knees, so we cut through this old building, which I love because it's still got its 1940s lock. Not sure what these were, but they're still pretty much. I won't go in because you never know what you might step in. Exactly the same design of the last one. Not the old. That dripping's not scary at all, is it? Now I'm afraid I'm going to have to curtail this video pretty much here, and what would have been a long one-part episode may well have to now be, well, will almost certainly have to now be a two-part episode, because being the complete amateur that I am, which I hope might be part of the attraction, but being the complete amateur that I am, making YouTube videos. My phone has just told me I have only 18% left and I need to charge it immediately, which I do have a battery pack. It's at home. So I think for today I'm going to call it a day. Finish this part of the video in this lovely bit of woodland at the southern end of the reserve. So I think next time I'll park in the same place and then I'll just pick the video up from here and complete it in a couple of weeks' time, which will be the next opportunity I have. So until then, I'll say thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed it, give me a big thumbs up. It'd be fabulous if you could subscribe to the channel. If you do, let me know in the comments. And if there are any other tips, like carry a battery charger with you, you fool, then please leave those in the comments also. But until then, I'm forced by modern technology to say cheerio.